Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. In today's video, we're going to continue our coverage of the new archetypes that can be found in the Justice Hunters deck build pack. We've already shown off the Fusion Fury of Dragon Tails, now it's time to follow up with something a little sweeter, a little cuter, and a hell of a lot more powerful. That's right, despite their looks, our next theme is poised to take the world by storm with their combination of typing, attribute, playstyle, and gigantic pool of resources. And all of that at the price of one tiny little coin. It's primed to take over the dueling world and your local arcade, and we're gonna do it all by using Link monsters as synchro material? Get ready to claw game your way to victory with Yummy Explained. Today's episode is possible thanks to viewers like you, as well as my patrons. If you like what I do here, I would super appreciate it if you'd subscribe to help us reach another wonderful milestone video. And if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome benefits, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. So what's the deal with Yummy? Well, there are a series of light beast monsters, with our main deck ones being level 1, our Synchro Tuner monsters being level 2, and our Link monsters being rating 1. Each of those sections operates in a very peculiar way, but have very consistent effects throughout. So we'll have to take a moment before each section to go over how each of them functions, and the best place to start is by going over the main deck monsters. Each one can be special summoned from your hand if we control a Link 1 monster or a level 2 Synchro, regardless of if those monsters are on theme or not, giving us the opportunity to play some fun tech picks while still getting to deploy our monsters. They also all have on summon effects anytime you normal or special summon them, but you can use a modified version if you special summoned it with a Synchro monsters effect. So keep that in mind for a little later on. As for what in the heck these cards even are, you may be tempted to think of them as a new run at Madolche, a bunch of snack-based cuties that are also stuffed animals, but that's where the twist comes in. They aren't just any kind of plushie, they're the prizes to UFO-style crane games, with the main deck monsters being the prizes, our Link monster acting as the claw, and our Synchros portraying the capture of each particular prize. Even the Link monster's quick Synchro effect costing 100 life points is a nod to how it only takes a 100 yen coin to play any given round of these games. The dedication to flavor here is fantastic, which is why they call it Yummy. First up, we have Cookie Yummy. It has 1000 attack and 0 defense, and if normal or special summoned, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and it loses 1000 attack. Or, if this card was special summoned by a Synchro monster's effect, you can destroy that monster instead. So, off the cuff, Cookie can actually go toe-to-toe with any monster that has 2000 or less attack, and for a level 1 monster, that's outrageous. However, that means it's not necessarily a good engine card, instead making for a fantastic payoff to our Synchro monster's effects. Even without going over them, you've probably sussed out that they're an important part of this mixture. Since all of our main deck monsters have that trigger, our Synchros are probably going to have a way to trigger them, giving you some spot removal to take apart your opponent's board. And how do I know that you know that? Easy! If you're watching my videos, you're obviously one smart cookie. Cupsy Yummy has 0 attack and 1600 defense, and if normal or special summoned, you can add a Yummy card from your deck to your hand, but if summoned by the effect of a Synchro monster, you can draw a card instead. This makes for a good engine card, adding any other Yummy into the mix, and I mean any. But if you've already assembled all the on-theme pieces that you need, and you've hit the alternative effect, you can just dig for a random piece of non-engine instead. Short, sweet, and to the point. Much like Cupsy's art design is here, but I'm worried we're dealing with forces beyond our comprehension. Cupsy has the eyes of something that's seen the void of the infinite, the call to oblivion. We don't just have the UFO game here because it's prevalent to the reference, it means our horror is downright cosmic. Lollipo Yummy has 600 attack and 1200 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a card in your opponent's grave and shuffle it into the deck. Or, if special summoned by the effect of a Synchro monster, you can banish that target instead. This is probably the least impressive of our main deck monsters. Granted, any of them are good at getting us off the ground when combined with our other cards, but they aren't all made equally, and Lollipo isn't going to do much if our opponent doesn't have anything in the grave worth hitting with our off-brand DD Crow. But I admit that's a pretty uncharitable take. The grave is like a second hand, so you're likely to have something better off not being in there, at least for you. But how many Lollipo resolutions does it take to get to the center of our opponent's win condition? The world may never know. Alright, that covers the main deck monsters, now it's time for the extra deck. And while I would normally put synchros in front of Link monsters, the one for this theme is way too important to leave for last. Presenting Yummy Snatchy. It has 600 attack and can be made with any level 4 or lower light beast monster as material. If this card is special summoned, you can place a Yummy field spell from your hand or deck face up on your field. Also, you can't Link summon Link 3 or higher Link monsters for the rest of the turn. And once per chain, during the main phase or your opponent's battle phase as a quick effect, you can pay 100 life points to immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro Summon a Synchro monster, using monsters you control as material, including a Yummy monster. So as it stands, Snatchy can be made with any of our main deck Yummies, and because you then control a Link 1 monster, you can now drop any of your other Yummies out of your hand. This is especially potent with Cupsy because of their search, but it's not unreasonable to expect you'd hard draw an additional on-theme monster right out the gate. And that's not even considering the field spell you get out of all this, but that's gonna have to wait for a bit. With Snatchy, you'll be able to drop synchros on your opponent at quick speed, and while our on-theme monsters have some great disruptive effects, keep in mind that this can synchro summon for any monster, so long as a Yummy is involved in the making, so go bonkers. At this point, Snatchy is making for a better UFO than all the alien cards combined. Yeah, but don't tell them I said that. I like my cows right where they are, thank you very much. Okay, with possibly the most important card in the theme out of the way, it's time for the Synchros. As a reminder, they're all level 2, are tuners, and all require generic material. One of their special quirks is that for this card's Synchro Summon, you can treat a Link 1 monster you control as a level 1 tuner. They all have an effect that triggers when Synchro Summoned, as well as one when your opponent activates a card or effect, which returns them to the extra deck to special summon up to 2 Yummy monsters from your grave. Think of them like Melfies, but a bit more telegraphed. So keep in mind that because Snatchy can quick sync, their on-summon effect can come down at almost any time. And also remember that our main deck monsters get bonus effects when summoned by a Synchro monster, which can now also come down at any time, so have fun! Cookie Yummy Way has 1600 attack and 0 defense, and if this card is Synchro Summoned, you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field and change them to face-down defense position. That's right, double Book of Moon on this one, and because it operates in a beast deck, this actually has a lot of really cool interactions. That's because this type is littered with a number of flip monsters that this can reset. Think Raikou, or Super Nimble Mega Hamster, or Baby Raccoon Tantan. Heck, Guard Dog and Whirlwind Weasel are both beasts, and everyone loves dealing with those floodgate effects. Okay, I'm not really making the best argument for my case here. For less cute and more effective, this can of course help to dissuade attackers by making it so they can't, in fact, attack. And if any of your cards have been hit with some kind of lingering effect, say they've had their effects negated by something or have a lingering debuff as long as they're face up on the field, this can shut those off. And the best part is, if your opponent tries to fix the fact that they've been flipped, well, gosh golly gee, that means they'll have to activate an effect. So you can tag out Cookie Wave for standard Cookie and just blow up the problem monster. It's like the old saying goes, in UFO Crane game, Cookie crumble you! Cupsy Yummy Way has 0 attack and 2200 defense, and if this card is Synchro Summoned, you can add 2 Yummy monsters from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. Now, it may shock you, but Cupsy Way is probably the best option that you can get after normal summoning Cupsy. Search another Yummy, link into Snatchy, summon your newly sourced Yummy, and sync for Cupsy Way. Grab the last Yummy you haven't seen yet, plus another copy of Cupsy because you still haven't used its own ability to special summon from the hand, and at this point, you can summon out both, making another Snatchy, and then start doing wild things with all that material. As long as you have another spare card in hand to discard, but that's pretty likely. This is a stupendous card to bridge you into your other monsters, and the more plushies the deck gets, the better this synchro will be. And if your opponent tries to use Imperm to stop this, well, that's an effect, right? Letting you return this to dodge it out of the way and give you more Yummies. And if that's not raising your cup to, I don't know what is. Lollipo Yummy Way has 1200 attack and defense, and if this card is Synchro Summoned, you can special summon 2 Yummy monsters from your grave, but negate their effects. That's right, Lollipo Way double dips on summoning graveyard material, but the first wave isn't going to get those nifty on summon effects, which is a real shame, but hey, free material is still free material. Any Snatchy you bring back is a level 1 tuner, because that's a condition of the synchros, not an effect of the monster. Any of the synchros you bring back will be level 2 tuners, and the main deck ones will be non-tuners that can help you ladder up into some really tough customers. Though ideally you'll have another group of higher leveled non-tuner monsters to pull from, because going this ladder one rung at a time seems abysmal. Though I hear Martial Metal Marcher stonks are on the rise, so there's that. Anyone missing out on that little combo is gonna feel like a real sucker. Alright, that's all the monsters, now it's time for the spells and traps. First up is Yummy Surprise, a quick play spell card that lets you activate one of 3 modular effects, but you can only use each once per turn. This means that if you draw 3 Yummy Surprises, you can activate each of them, but you have to use a different effect on here each time. First, you can target 2 light beast monsters you control and 2 cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand. Second, you can special summon a Yummy monster from your hand or grave, but it can't attack directly this turn, how dreadful. And the third effect lets you return a field spell from your face-up field or grave to the hand, then you can place a Yummy field spell from your hand face-up on your field. Good lord, that's a versatile card if ever I've seen one. The first effect is fantastic, but it gets even better when you realize you can have this target Snatchy and another Yummy, then quick sync in response to this one to get them off the field, so it's only your opponent who has their cards bounced. Though with us having some really good on-summon effects, we may just want to put them back there anyway. The second effect is just good old honest field swarming, and because it can summon any Yummy, it can fit into any part of the game plan. It'll even trigger the main deck monster effects because those aren't negated. The last one is the least impactful, at least for now, but field spell management in a theme with more than one is always welcome. And you can even grab this with Cupsy, so you'll have this whenever you need it. This was the last card of the theme to be revealed, and in an archetype already packed to the gills with good cards, I'll admit, it lived up to its name. Yummizement Akroki is a field spell card that, if you Synchro Summon a Light Beast Synchro monster, you can target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. If any number of face-up monsters you control leave the field by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a Yummy monster from your deck, and if this card is in your grave, you can target 2 Yummy monsters in your grave and or banishment, and place them and this card on the bottom of the deck in any order. Hachi Machi! This card's field spell game is starting off strong. We've got our first Crane game right here, and the fact that it adds free removal to our Synchro Summons once per turn is a hoot. It punishes our opponent for removing our cards by replacing it with a free one, and it's almost infinitely recurable. You can put used Snatchies back into your extra deck while putting this card back into your deck, which in turn allows you to search them back out with the Link monsters on summon effect. Very much feels like a card we should keep up during our opponent's turn, especially with our quick syncs giving us access to that pop during most of their turn. And they're likely to use the bulk of their own removal on their own turn as well. And best of all, we get to see that Snatchy is, in fact, a huge collector and won't stop until he's hunted down every last Yummy variation, even if it means hunting them to extinction! You know, usual obsessed nerd agenda. Yummizement Minion is a field spell card that gives all Yummy monsters you control a 500 attack boost for each light beast monster on the field. If you control a Link 1 monster, you can target a level 1 Yummy monster in your grave and special summon it, and if this card is in your grave, you can target 2 Yummy monsters in your grave and or banishment, and place them and this card on the bottom of the deck in any order. Cool, it looks like all of our field spells will be able to recycle like this. Beautiful. So if a Croaky is meant to stay on our field during our opponent's turn, Minion is a strong contender for use during our own. Not only does it get us back one of our main deck Yummies to help with building up our board, it also nitro charges our monsters. These kinds of scaling attack boosts are not to be trifled with, especially when you start giving out 500 per monster. Put 3 Yummies together and that's 1500 more attack on each of them, which means 4500 total attack was just added to your board. You know, just kinda casual like. And with Cookie debuffing monsters, there's really nothing that can stand up to our fighting ferocity, which is a real shame because they all look so peaceful here. Shame they're about to get invaded by Yu-Gi-Oh's equivalent of comic book guy. Yummy Redemption is a continuous trap card that debuffs your opponent's monsters by 200 attack for each light beast monster you control and is in your grave. Once per chain, if you Synchro Summon a light beast synchro monster, you can draw a card, then place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. You can also banish this card from your grave, then target a Yummy monster you control and a monster your opponent controls, and switch control of both. Damn, I honestly forgot how wild this card was, but getting another look at it, are you kidding me? Not only does Minion give you a huge attack boost, Redemption applies a pretty ridiculous debuff too. It lets us dig for more cards when we Synchro Summon, and it's not once per turn. Every time you Synchro Summon, as long as it's once per chain, you get Yu-Gi-Oh's closest approximation of the scry mechanic. So while you don't get more cards, you get to cycle through them until you've sculpted the perfect hand. And then, because things couldn't get any more heinous, it's also a creature swap! Like, you can give your opponent an attack position Cupsy for a clean shot at their life points, and considering all the damage we just talked about, you can do a lot of damage out of nowhere. And all while taking some of your opponent's best stuff. This is a great discard off of Cupsy Way, setting you up for some of the most brutal plays this game has ever seen. Fitting that it should come at the end of the Crane game filled with super soft plushies, our enemies shall be inundated with fluff until they are no more. Alright, so that's all the yummy cards. But what do we do with them? Well, they certainly don't need the help, but we've got to fill the deck up with something, and that's going to be Beast, Light, and a Synchro support, and thankfully, we've got some sterling examples, so what can we play to help them out? Obedient Schooled is the primary combo starter here. Now, when these first got revealed, I thought the restriction on this card would be too harmful for the deck's potential, but when all your best cards are beasts anyway, it really isn't much of a hurdle. Their effects are negated, sadly, but you can still link one into Snatchy, sync that and another Yummy into one of your level 2s, preferably Cupsy Way for more searches. And now you have 2 new Yummies in hand that you can special summon because you haven't used their effects to do so. And from here you can go into all kinds of directions, all kinds of beast-flavored directions, but that's a whole different rigmarole. And while we're on the subject of good beasts we can use, Melfi can provide some outstanding longevity, getting you beasts from your deck, from your graveyard, allowing for quick synchro summons, all kinds of stuff. Merry Melfi is a bounce, Joyous Melfi can actually bring your synchros back from the grave if they get stranded there, as tuners often do, and Melfi of the Forest can help you really lean into that part of the strategy. Not to mention that as level 2s, they give you access to really good rank 2s outside of having to use your synchro monsters like Ronin Raccoon. The fabled Cerberel might also be a good pickup for your beast lineup. Not only does it help you synchro climb, it gives you exclusive access to the fabled Unicorn if you want to play chicken with your opponent's hand size. As for other random light beast monsters, well, look, I'm just gonna put them on screen. I've got to bring them up because they technically fit here, but I don't want to go any further than that. If you make a yummy deck with these, honestly, just keep it to yourself. No one wants to see it, least of all me. Oh, and remember, we recently got that wave of Ancient Fairy Dragon support, and of the light monsters it looks for to synergize with, Beasts is one of them. Granted, their field spell doesn't play well with our existing ones, and they don't really get the attack roll and defense position bonuses that the Ancient Fairy Dragon cards provide, but Eternal Sunshine is still an incredibly rad piece of interaction, so it might be worth experimenting with, especially since both love synchro monsters. Another funny aspect is figuring out what Link 1 monster fits well with us. After all, any of them can be used as tuners for our Yummy Way monsters, and thankfully, we have a couple of choice candidates. Relinquished Anima is probably one of the most straightforward, punishing your opponent for poor zone placement. Salamangreat Almirage can provide some nice targeting protection and can potentially revive itself, but the wildest one out of all of them might just be Sky Strikers. They have a ton of Link 1s that fit the bill and can rack up huge card advantage like nobody's business, especially with Engage at 3. Can you believe that Engage is at 3? I can't believe Engage is at 3. As for a silly tech pick, I've got my eye on Chimera Fusion. We're all beasts here after all, so as long as we fuse for something that Yummies can fit with, we're in the clear. And guess what? Even under Obedient Schooled, we can still summon Brandon's favorite honorary fusion, Guardian Chimera. You get removal and some free draws at quick speed, helpfully searched out by another beast, Gazelle. And hey, if you can get Cross Sheep going with all this, another beast by the way, you're looking at reanimation and some severe attack boosts. Hard to complain about that. Okay, I lied. There's actually 2 silly tech picks this time around. See, remember how Snatchy said that if you use the field spell effect, you can't link summon Link 3 or higher monsters? Well, see, the devil's in the details. You can't link summon them, but you can still special summon them, and you can do so directly from the deck with Tri-Brigades, specifically Kit and Karis. So now you can make whatever Tri-type Link monster you want. Heck, the field spell even recycles banished Yummies, so you never have to worry about losing them for long if you use them as fuel for this strange grave linking effect. And that's all I've got to say about Yummy. This theme is great. It's got a lot of gas and has the potential to go in a lot of different directions, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Anytime the game bends its rules and lets you do silly things like use link monsters as synchro material, I know the team is cooking. But can I borrow 100 yen? I'm a little strapped for, Japanese currency. I really gotta go for another game. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you think Yummy is a delicious new archetype, or does it leave a bad taste in your mouth? And which one's your favorite? God, I love Cupsy. It's so cute! Let me know your favorite down below, and if you haven't already, please be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, check out one of my other videos in the suggested feed to help me show up in your homepage, and be sure to share this video with somebody you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales that even come with their own lore, and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Cernite JCB, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Mike Cook, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Bat Poos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatia, Animasta, Anthrak, Baden von Titty Sprinkles, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Chris B, Dr. Entity RIP, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Natiel Lee Alexander, Night Trummo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pombo, Rain, Rhyme Kairos, Schwenny, Shizuki Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Sphilia, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, Zaldreka, and Zero Day Nova, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining here as a YouTube member. Even a single dollar means the world to me and honestly helps me a lot more than YouTube ad rev. And if you want to see some more Light Beast nonsense, check out this video where we cover Luna's new Ancient Fairy Dragon cards. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.